Hey, this is Kirk McDowell with contributionselling.com. Welcome, and today's question I'm here to answer is how do you overcome objections in sales? So how do you overcome objections in sales? Okay, cool. So first things first, there's a problem in the question. Okay, so how do you overcome objections in sales? So there's a problem in the question. If you listen to the question, how do you overcome objections, right? How to overcome objections. Notice there's an adversarial quality to that, right? There's a sort of an image of somebody objecting, like, no, 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 and you're like overcoming it, you're overpowering them, you're beating them, you're competing with them. There's like an adversarial intonation in the question, right? How do you overcome objections in sales, okay? So big problem, big problem. By the way, very common problem. So I started off in sales in 1986, 30-something years ago. Let's not get too specific about that. I've already done the math, 36 years, 34 years. Anyway, I spent most of my career also overcoming objections in sales, right? And I actually got good at it, and there's a problem. There's a problem in the question. There's a problem in the paradigm. There's a problem in the approach and the way of thinking about it and the perception of it and the context called overcoming objections. Okay, good. So you may be ready for me to say something about it that's actually useful. So here we go. So the problem with overcoming objections in sales is it's adversarial in nature. Okay, so let's put selling aside for a moment and just think about relationships or conversations you have with other people, okay? And think about you're having a conversation and the person you're speaking with is either being cooperative or adversarial at some level, right? There's various extremes of adversarial, there's various extremes of cooperative or partnership, and then there's neutral in the middle, right? People are rarely neutral. You can be neutral, but it's a caused phenomenon. You have to create neutral, right? So people are either adversarial or in partnership, right? So you can hear it in everyday conversation, like, hey, I really like blue. You don't like blue, adversarial. Hey, I really like blue. Really, you like blue? Tell me more about that. Partnership, okay? Hey, I want to go shopping today. You can't go shopping today, la, 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 la. Adversarial. Hey, I want to go shopping today. Really? Well, let's look at that and maybe let's get coordinated and make sure everybody gets what they need. Partnership, right? So now let's take it to selling, okay? I'm either there as a salesperson with a very specific intention to get you to say yes to something very specific and then take several very specific actions, right? So if I'm a professional salesperson and I'm selling the XYZ widget, right? So if I'm a professional salesperson and I'm selling the XYZ widget, in the traditional paradigm of selling, I'm summoning all of my mental capacities, right? And psychological and emotional and everything, with a specific tension for you to agree to something, see something, like something, take several actions, sign an agreement, write a check, show up here, or do this, that, or the other. Those are very specific, right? Now, when you show up in a conversation or a relationship with very, very specific intentions, right, you actually resist everything else. Okay? So if I'm there to get you to agree to something and you start talking about an unrelated topic or an aspect of what we're talking about that doesn't support me convincing you to do something, I'm going to resist that. Okay? And that person's going to notice. Now, they may not notice consciously, because quite frankly, in life, people are resisting each other all the time. Partnership is actually a very rare and beautiful commodity. Most people are adversarial with each other, and we hide behind not making it overtly adversarial. Well, I didn't say go F yourself. Well, no, you didn't say it, but everything in your body communicated that, right? I wasn't arguing with you. Well, yeah, you're actually arguing with me right now. Right? Like, you know, we're just so used to adversarial, like people trying to get what they want and people taking what they want. And like this whole idea of, you know, it's an infinite, abundant universe and there's plenty for all of us. We just need to chill for half a minute and start to do some thinking and feeling about how everybody can get what they need, and it's an act of creativity. Like, it's totally doable, right? We don't need to beat each other's throat. We don't need to be adversarial. We don't need to try to take and push and pull from each other. Like, we really don't. And I'm not talking about some mamby-pamby, don't worry about results. I'm talking about results, and I'm talking about integrity at the highest level, right? Like, when you show up in front of a customer, you're actually there to serve them. That's integrity. Anything else is BS, and I mean that in the most derogatory sense possible, and I'm pointing to you, right? Anything other than I'm here to fully be of service, and I want to understand your problem so I can solve it, not understand your problem so I can then use it against you to beat you up to buy something. No, that lacks integrity. That's BS, and I mean that in the most derogatory sense possible, right? So what works is, what has integrity at the highest level, what has integrity at the very highest level, in my opinion, is to show up in love. So I'm probably losing some of you right now, but that's fine, right? The ones I haven't lost, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You show up in love. You show up at your highest self. You bring your best self forward, right? You're most contributory. You're most loving. You're most wanting to serve another human being. You bring that with you. And you stand for getting yourself taken care of as well. It's a partnership. Everybody can win, right? And I recommend you show up to your engagements, your selling engagements, with a clear heart and an open mind, and having your creativity, having you being a creator turned on. Like, you're a creator. You're creative. In fact, it's the sole purpose of your existence to go and find people whom you're here to serve and serve them at a world-class level, right? My experience is, when you're actually someone who shows up to serve and your integrity's in, like your heart's full of love, you're clear, we can create a solution that's perfect and beautiful and awesome for everybody, and you get to work on it, and you work on it with the intensity of a brain surgeon, right? It's not a casual thing. Like, if someone's, say you're selling a business service and someone's really in pain, like they're going to lose their business, they're going to lose their house, their families doesn't have what they need because their business isn't working, right? When you show up trying to close that person, you are absolutely part of the problem. Congratulations, right? Or you can show up in love, in contribution, in support, open mind, clear heart, and really go to work on how to serve, how to be a contribution, how to make their life better, how to understand and solve the problem which is hurting them, right? When you're actually authentically and truly that person, I've noticed that people can notice that, right? And people actually want it. In almost all selling situations I find myself in, right? At the end of the conversation, people want to do business with me. Like, oh, I want to work with you. Why is that? It's not because I'm a silver-tongued sales devil that can whip up smoke and mirrors and create illusions and have people go chase things that don't exist. No, that's not it. Because I practice being the best coach I can possibly be. I put my time and my energy in being a world-class difference maker, not a world-class salesperson. Do not do that. People hate salespeople. You hate salespeople, right? You just got yourself convinced that's a good thing because that's what you do for a living, right? Everybody hates salespeople because everybody hates being sold. Have you noticed? Everybody hates being sold. So stop selling people. Stop overcoming objections. Nobody likes that. When you have a question about something, do you want to be overcome? No, you want your question answered thoroughly. And you want the other person to answer the question in a way that they're actually committed that you get the answer and you have the understanding that you want so that you can move forward, right? Do not overcome objections. Do not. Instead, answer questions thoroughly. Answer questions in an inspired manner. When you answer a question, leave them inspired. Practice that, right? And then practice being the real deal. Practice having your inspiration come not from smoke and mirrors and fancy techniques, but have your inspiration come from actually being someone who's inspired, actually being someone that has a high state of personal integrity. You know, somebody who's responsible for how they experience things and what comes out of their mouth and their emotional state, right? And, you know, be someone who trues themselves up to be the real deal, world class at the highest possible level at whatever it is you do, and then just go be that authentically and clearly and plainly and powerfully with people and solve people's problems. I promise you they'll notice and they'll want to do business with you, and you'll never overcome another objection again. Okay? I never overcome objections. I answer questions and people choose. That's the way I would want somebody to do business with me. Right? Okay, good. All right, so Kirk McDowell, Contribution Selling. I've got some free sales training for you at contributionselling.com. The information will be in the description below. I so appreciate your time. I hope this has been valuable. And then you'll have an opportunity to put yourself on my calendar. I'd love to speak with you. And I'm just committed that you're someone who's powerful and successful and actually being a contribution out in the world. So that's, if we get a chance to engage, that's what we'll be working towards. So until then, until we get a chance to speak, until then, keep being the change you wish to see and give what you want to get. And I look forward to talking to you real soon. Bye-bye.